Hello, I'm Krista West, and I am the owner and designer of Avlea Folk Embroidery, and this is the March FlossTube. I am really late with FlossTube. I have not done a FlossTube since January. As many of you have probably seen on my Instagram posts, I broke my foot. I have a stress fracture, a pretty significant one in my left foot. And so I've been on crutches for 4 weeks now. 4 weeks? Almost 4 weeks. And I've got a few more weeks to go. So it's just sort of made everything in my life a lot more complicated. I will never take getting a cup of tea for granted again. I've had to move around my house with crutches. I've been pretty much just stuck at home for a few weeks. And I really thought of myself as a total homebody until this happened. I don't think of myself as a homebody anymore. I miss walks. I miss my daily swim. I miss like going up to the mountains and all those things. But I'm really just trying to look at this season of my life as just a season, and I'm trying really hard to just learn whatever I can learn from this. So, what does that mean for you today? It means that I have a ton to share with you. There is so much going on in the wild world of Avlea right now, and I'm really so excited to be sharing all of it with you today. Before I dive in, for anybody new, I'm Krista West. I started Avlea back in late 2017, early 2018 with 3 designs, thinking nobody else was going to be that interested in folk embroidery, and I have never been so happy to be so wrong. And now my designs go everywhere, all around the world, and people buy kits and patterns and things like that. It's very exciting. I'm just amazed that so many stitchers are rediscovering and embracing folk embroidery. So very excited about that. If you want to follow me on social, you can follow me on Instagram. It's Krista M. West. I know, when I set up Instagram, it never occurred to me that I needed to set it up with a business name. So I just set it up with my name. So there we are. And you can also search Avlea Folk Embroidery too, and see like hashtag. And if you're on social media and you've done something Avlea, tag Avlea Folk Embroidery. I love seeing what everybody's working on and doing, and the different variations and stuff like that. So very exciting. So let's jump in because there's a lot. Oh, I know, I forgot to say about the website. Boy, I am rusty at this. You can tell I haven't done one for a while. So the Avlea website is embroidery.com. I'll have it in the notes. And you can find everything there. There is, of course, you can shop and buy patterns, but there's also the Courtyard, which is a forum for stitchers to share what they're working on, ask questions, look at, we've got a tips and techniques section where people like put in stuff that they've found useful. And then also at the website are the how-to videos. And part of what I did while I've been off my foot is I just gave the website a whole little facelift over the last month. So it's a little cleaner and easier to find everything. And we've kind of cut some of the categories down so it's a little bit easier, again, just to find stuff. And the how-to videos page got a major facelift, and I got advice from my Wix customer service agent, Catherine, who helps me with a lot of the stuff, but I'm actually the person who's doing all the changes at the website. I actually like that. It was a huge surprise to me, actually, that I liked kind of website design and all of that, but I like it. So anyways, so I still do all of that. And so I changed up the how-to page to be much cleaner, much easier to find stuff. All the videos are kind of right there all in a row. And then if you are out and about with your phone, you can also find the Avlea app. All the how-to videos are there and things like that. One thing I will mention, it's a little bit of a thing with the app. I don't love it, but to see the how-to videos, you have to sign in as a member. And as soon as you sign in as a member, which is totally free, you can see all the how-to videos. So anyways, okay, so that's all the places to find me. And now we just need to like get to stitching right away. So, okay, so much. I'm trying to figure out in what order to share it. And since I can't move around very easily, I've got my little stack of embroideries right here next to me. Okay, so first up is Peloponnesian Poppies. Woohoo! This just released yesterday, and I'm going to hold it up close. Oh, here, why don't I do it this way? I'm going to hold it up that way. This is just a fabulous new table runner. The table runners, it's been surprising to me how popular table runners have been. But when I was like, well, there must be other ones out there. There's not a lot else out there for making table runners than folk embroidery patterns. And so I've really worked hard over the last couple of months to add more variety to my table runner offerings. So I started in January with Golden Celandine. Last month we released Cypress and Hollyhock, which is a traditional Greek design. But this one, I saw this in an old folk embroidery booklet that I have in my collection. And I just saw the little motif, and it was actually really funky. In the vintage book, oh, I should have almost had that to show you. But in the vintage book, it's like the leaves are weird and it was kind of blurry and it needed a fair amount of cleaning up to really turn it into a nice design. But now it is just this fabulous table runner. I like it because it's kind of a fat table runner. It's kind of wide, but not too long. So the reason I did it not quite so long is to help keep the kit price down. As soon as table runners start getting really long, that just gets us into a lot of fabric. And then we have like waste at the end of the bolt. So by keeping the table runners a little bit more narrow, like, well, not narrow this way, but a little less long, it helps keep the kit price affordable. If you ever see a design and you're like, wow, I love that design, but I really want one that's way longer, or maybe I want like a 4-foot one for my dining room table or something like that, I would just recommend getting the download pattern, and then you can hop over to the fabric section and just buy whatever yardage you want, because we do sell a long half-yard piece. So all of my fabric, when I sell it, is actually available in 2 varieties for what's considered a half yard. And that's a long skinny piece, like say 18 inches wide by 70 inches long. But also you can get a half yard as a 35 by 35 inch piece for either doing squares or table runners. So anyways, there's that. So Peloponnesian Poppies is live. Very exciting, very colorful, very bright, and fast to stitch. It's under 10,000 stitches. I want to say it's around 9, a little over 9,000 stitches. I had this baby worked up in like a few weeks. It was really fast. Anyways, so I'm very excited. I'm going to be debuting this at the H&H America show this summer. Very excited. Very great. Okay, so that's that one. Okay, trying to go in what order. You know what? Maybe we just won't worry about order right now. The next thing up that I have to share with you is Pamela, my amazing and wonderful workshop assistant. Oh my word, can we just have a moment? There is no way I could have gotten through this broken foot without Pamela. She has been just a godsend. She's down in the workshop, but she's got an ear out for me upstairs because it's hard for me to get down up and down the stairs to the workshop. So I try to like have my once daily trek to the workshop and get everything done. Then I'm upstairs working on my laptop in the dining room. And Pamela has been amazing. She's like, do you need tea? Do you need anything? She's just fabulous. She's kept the orders going out the door. She's been so helpful. But she really wanted to work the Ukrainian CrissCross design, the larger version, as a cushion cover with Appleton's wools. And I just love this. I'm going to be finishing this with I should have grabbed it. But I'm not going to waste your time and hobble on over to the ironing board. But I've got a really cool black cotton fabric that's got a little bit of like a foulard design in it, like a little tiny little, almost like dot design in it. And I'm going to use that for the backing, and we're going to create this in a cushion. And I'm thinking that'll mean that we probably start adding that fabric to the cushion back kit offerings, because it would be great when you're doing like our classic red and black on white is so classic folk embroidery. It's done in Ukraine, Romania, Serbia, lots of countries, Latvia, the Balkans. Pretty much every country that does folk embroidery has designs that are done in either reds. That's like a lot of Greek designs are done in reds. And then all the other countries add black for that super high contrasty look that is just fabulous. And I thought the Appleton's wools just totally makes this like, you can't really see this in the video, but it's got this like fabulous kind of almost velvety kind of texture because of the wool. You know, the wool has a little bit more, the crewel wool, the Appleton's crewel wool has a little bit more loft than say just a traditional DMC cotton floss. So it's kind of exciting. So that's the Ukrainian CrissCross. And basically as soon as I have this sewn up, hopefully the end of next week. It's a little hard for me to work my sewing machine. So, because I have an industrial machine with a foot pedal, and so I can do it mostly right-footed. It's just that I'm really, it's the sewing machine and also hobbling between the sewing machine and the iron. I tell you, it's just a gong show around here right now with this whole broken foot. But once I get that done, we'll have that on the website as a kit. So look for that soon, very soon. So that's one. Okay, wait, I feel like I don't have a good pile. Another fabulous pillow cushion that I'm getting ready to sew up. This is the Evie chevron pattern that is one of the pomegranate collection designs. Now, if you're new, I'll just give my little plug about the pomegranate collection designs. I oftentimes design way more than we can stitch or produce because I love to design. And there are also some of the large folk embroidery designs that are really large or really complicated. And they're not complicated, they're just a lot of stitches usually. A lot of stitching, and I'm not certain that they're gonna make like the world's most ideal kit. They might be like too big of a commitment or something. So for those designs, when I'm a little on the fence, like, should we like stitch this and release it as a kit? I release those as $5 download patterns where the cover image is just the chart, not a photo of the finished piece because I don't have a finished piece. And then whoever basically turns it into me first and has decent quality stitching and all those things, and I'm able to use it to finish and photograph and turn into an actual kit and pattern, then they get a $50 credit at the website. So, and it's been just an amazing way to get more folk embroidery out there because some of you are like, oh my word, I love this design. I have to stitch this. I couldn't believe it. One of the most popular pomegranate collection designs was Penelope's Garden. I had tons of people buy the download, but it's like 35,000 stitches. And so I didn't have time to stitch it. It's kind of on my perennial stitch to-do list, and then suddenly I had 2 different stitchers turn it in. So we were able to turn it into a kit, which is really exciting. But this is the Evie chevron. This is actually inspired by my friend Evie in Greece. So for years, for probably, I'm thinking maybe 10, 12 years, I have purchased some of my tailoring supplies from a family business in Thessaloniki. And when I was there on a buying trip, it's been now maybe like 8 years ago, I had discovered folk embroidery, and I had actually discovered it in Athens on that trip, but then I was headed to Thessaloniki. And when I got to Thessaloniki, I was asking, Evie is the mom of Konstantinos, and Konstantinos is who I work with to buy a lot of the finishings and brocades you see behind me. And I had asked Konstantinos, like, do you know anything about like Greek embroidery when I was first learning? And he's like, oh, my mom has tons of it. And so his mom actually has this beautiful pre-cut collection, which is like a hope chest. It's kind of like the way we would do a hope chest in America, but it's a whole collection of embroideries, and she loves embroideries. So, and she's really, she's got a really good eye for embroidery, both for ones that she's worked herself, ones she's gotten from her mother. And then she has also, through the years, there are actually companies in Greece that still make these amazing handmade embroideries that people can purchase for loved ones and for pre-cuts, for hope chests and things like that. So so I'm always asking for pictures and things like that. And they had sent me a picture of this design. The original was worked with some metallic threads in it, which was really cool. But I retranslated that to actually just DMC cotton floss so that it would be a little bit more accessible. Anyway, so this is a really gorgeous design. It almost feels like, my husband looked at it and he's like, it almost feels like Bauhaus. And it kind of does. It's got, it's just one of those amazing folk embroidery things that like is totally old and ancient, but has a really great modern feel. So this one is going to be able to be released as a pattern, and I just think this is going to make the most amazing like cushion cover to like just curl up to. So Evie chevron coming soon. Okay, next up. Oh, we'll talk about this in a minute. Oh, let's see here. Okay, next up is Pomona's Grove. So I showed this, I think maybe back in January, but I might have showed it before I'd finished it. But Pomona's Grove is done, finished, beautiful table runner. This is a design that's actually from a Greek bed valance from the like 18th century. And I reinterpret it as a table runner because, not many of us need bed valances anymore. So, although That would be cool. But, you know, we don't. So this is a new table runner design. I actually worked this one. This is the next piece in my granddaughter's pre-ca. So Miriam's Garden was the very first piece I embroidered for my granddaughter Miriam. And so every so often now I'm like starting to think, okay, what can I add to her pre-ca? So this one, she's almost 3 and she loves animals. And so this one has these really beautiful little deer and these beautiful big urns and flowers and little birds. And I thought that would be really fun. So this one will release in April. Because honestly, I'm probably going to release it in just a couple of weeks when I really think about it. I've actually got a backlog of things to release, which is, wow, it's amazing to be in that place. If you could have told me 2 years ago that I would have had a backlog of things to release, I would have just like laughed at you. But here we are. So Pomona's Grove, that's going to be releasing again in just a couple of weeks. It's on, sorry, I forgot to say, it's on our Greek 30 count linen in the vanilla. Boy, I like this linen. It's just it's really easy to see the threads. You know what? Maybe I'll get this a little closer. Sorry, it's because I'm having to sit. I'm having a little trouble. Okay, so there you go. You can see that. But I really like this Greek linen. It's not quite as plushy as the old legacy dower linen that I really, really love. But I have to say for some of these embroideries, I'm kind of actually liking that quality. When I go to do the drawn thread hemming and things like that, it's just a little easier and you get a little bit better definition of the threads, which I like. So anyways, so there's that. And I was finally able to secure a large quantity of the vanilla linen. Until just like maybe 5 weeks ago, I was only able to get it in like 5-meter cuts, small cuts. So I was finally able to get a big amount of it and I actually was able to negotiate a really good deal on it. So now I can start releasing more kits with linen, which I'm really excited about. Okay, so there's that one. Let's see. Okay, before I go on to that, so, for those of you who've been watching on Instagram, it's got tons of pins in it, so because I'm just getting ready to draw and thread hem it. But for those of you who've been watching Iris's Paintbox, ta-da! Look at that beauty. It's so fabulous. So I love this piece. I'm going to just show you that. So this piece has a really interesting story to it. I want to make sure I don't get myself with all the pins because I've got it all ready to go to draw and thread hem. I'll probably be working on that in the next few days. Let's see, it must be like over a year ago. One of our Avlea customers, Rachel Huggies, lives in Athens. She's American, but she married a Greek guy like 30 years ago and has lived in Athens ever since. And Rachel has been amazing. So Rachel has sent me photos of things she's seen in Greece, things in her own collection. And actually, when I go to Greece this September, when I'm there on my research trip, she and I are going to be going to the Peloponnesian Folklore Museum, which I'm really excited about. And we just decided like last week, we're going to Naxos. We're just going to do it. I was afraid I couldn't get to Naxos. Naxos is an island in Greece that has a very specific type of like red repeating embroideries. Naxos work is glorious. I love it. It's just very distinctive. And so I really wanted to go, but it's a 5-hour ferry ride. And I was like, well, I don't know. Can I like manage that on my own? Do I have enough time? And I was talking with Rachel. I'm like, what do you think? She's like, well, I want to go. And I'm like, awesome. We're going to Naxos when we go to Greece. So Rachel's going to be a little bit of my embroidery tour guide when we're in Greece, which I'm very excited about. And she, about a year ago, maybe a little longer ago than that, she shared a picture of this beautiful table scarf that she had gotten in the 70s. And she was busy with work at the time and couldn't do a lot of embroidery on her own and was kind of mentioning this to a friend. And this friend knew someone who would do embroideries for people. And so this woman, I cannot remember the name of the island now. It wasn't Aegina. I can't remember which island it was now. Oh, Rachel, if you're watching, forgive me. Her friend knew this woman who would do embroidery. So Rachel ordered several pieces from her. And one was this really distinctive table scarf. And as soon as I saw the design, I was like, I've never seen anything like that in folk embroidery. It's just so interesting. It's got these like, let me see if I can hold it up. It's got these tablets of color that repeat across. And what's interesting is the terracotta here acts as a grounding agent and alternates every other like group. And then there's these like diagonal bands of colors put in it. So this one, I'm really feeling the love on this being a really versatile pattern for anybody that loves it, because you don't have to make it in the big, huge table runner like I did. You could take a section of it and you could make a smaller table runner with like just this section going down the middle, which would be beautiful. You could use the middle borders that have got these like fabulous, and it uses so much outlining. The outlined back stitches are what make this design just so distinctive. And I think it's just this really unique artistic look to have these big solid blocks of color with like these little delicate outline stitches in black. Oh, it's just fabulous. Plus it's really fun to work because I took the time and like laid in all the blocks of color first, and then I just went back into the outlining. So I didn't have to follow the chart for like half of the work, which was fun because I was just doing the outlining. Anyways, so that is going to be available very soon. I may even make this available in May. I think I will. If I can get good photos of it by then, I'm going to do that because I want this one. I want to display this one at the H&H America show in June because it's just such a great design. So Iris's Paintbox. And then pretty soon, those of you who order, you'll see that you'll get a new free chart card is actually from Iris's Paintbox. We took the little tiny, let me see if I can show you the motif. The little tiny guys here that almost look like little vases right there, that little row, and we took a little row of those and turned them into a free chart card. So those will be going out in orders really soon. I'll have those probably go out before we even release Iris's Paintbox. So anyways, and I'll take that same section and probably put it in the free chart section of the website as well. And if I forget to do that, feel free to email me and remind me. So we'll do that. But this is just a great design. And it was really fun for me because I've done a lot of like quicker projects over the last 6 months, and I was really itching to get into something that was like big and complex and chewy, and plus I really, really wanted this table runner for my living room. So really excited about that. It would also be great too, in like half of it as a cushion cover. That would be amazing. So Iris's Paintbox coming very soon. Okay, so I'm gonna very carefully fold that up because there we go. Okay, I've got my whole little, I have like a little, when I do drawn thread, I have this little basket, my like little cheap Target-y basket, but it helps me because then I have my little kit, I have my thread, and I just use, this is Arafil 50/2 thread. It's just basic cotton sewing thread. I don't know, I got it years ago. I have no idea. I can't even remember where I got it. And then I have my little pin cushion with all my pins. And then I'm all ready to go. And that way my pins and everything don't get into my work basket. The one thing I will tell you, a little trick, and I've mentioned this on Instagram, but for those of you who do have a sewing machine, I always keep, this is like a tailor's trick. I was taught when I was doing my tailoring apprenticeship that when you change out your sewing machine needle, you always put that dull sewing machine needle into your pin cushion. You'll notice I have a bunch of them here. And then these are stronger than a pin. And they're just a lot heftier and beefier. And when I am pulling out the drawn threads, when I'm getting ready to prep a drawn thread hem, I always use a sewing machine needle like that. These are just so much easier. They don't bend, they're stronger. So there's a little pro tip for you. So, okay, what have we got next? Oh, let's talk about upcoming releases. So this will be fun. So I am so grateful and I feel so blessed to have this growing group of people sample stitching for Avlea. This has been huge because when it's just me trying to stitch everything, it takes, as you all know, stitching takes time. And I've just had a number of Avlea customers reach out to me about, hey, I'm interested in sample stitching, or, this sort of a thing. And it's been fantastic. So I've been able to release, while I've been working on Iris's Paintbox, I knew that at the same time I wanted to add some smaller releases because, I want to try to evenly balance out what I'm offering at the Avlea website so that, for every great big table runner, I still add in some smaller kits. So with the help of our wonderful sample stitchers, Liz did this new design. This is a new design that's coming out in a month, I'm thinking, called Balkan Quartet. Now, our Mediterranean sampler kit has been one of our most popular kits, and it's a classic Greek blue and white kit, very Greek designs. And I thought, well, hey, why not do one that has more sort of Balkan designs? Although honestly, you can see them all over It's hard to really qualify a folk embroidery piece as just Balkan or just Greek or just Latvian because there's so much interchange. But with a little, what shall I say, creative leeway, I decided to call this one Balkan Quartet. And it's the same idea as the Mediterranean sampler. It's got 4 basic motifs that can be seen in Balkan style embroideries, and with an inner border here dividing them, and then the outer border. And you can work the piece as it is, as a little tiny table mat, you know, just something you can put like a little plant or something on it. You can also use it to work smalls projects, use each motif and, like, you know, make a pin cushion or make a little small bag or a little patch or something like that. This one I worked in a very traditional, very hot Balkan colorway. So it's 310 black, 355 terracotta, and then that 349, that super bright red, that DMC bright red. I think they call it something like salmon bright or something. It's got a weird color name, but it's that really bright red. And then, just for a little bit of contrast, I threw in the, I gotta remember, I'm looking at my wall, 931, antique blue medium. I always get 931 and 932 confused, so I have to remember. So that's gonna be coming out really soon. And this one's on the vanilla linen, the 30 count linen. And I finished it with a drawn thread hem, but you could even do it as like a little wall hanging. It would also be fabulous as an inset cushion. So like you could make it and then you could like add a mitered border. And actually, I've been thinking a lot about that lately because of my book project. So I'll talk about that in a minute. But Balkan Quartet is coming up soon. This is a really fabulous little design called Florina. It's a very sweet little kind of garden design. It almost looks like a little fenced garden. And this design actually came out of the original design that I used as inspiration came out of a Latvian needlework booklet in my collection, but I removed a bunch of elements. The original design was super busy, and I had been charting it and thinking about it and trying different things, and then I suddenly looked at it one day and was like, it's just too busy. It's too busy. There's too many elements. There was like all different sorts of little things in here and stuff like this. And I'm like, this poor thing just doesn't have room to breathe. So I started actually removing elements. And I have to say, creatively, that's something that I've really been kind of focusing on in the last like 6 months, maybe 6 to 8 months, is when I look at a design, once I have it like kind of the initial motif like charted, and I start looking, okay, wait, I used to think like, okay, what needs to be added? But now I feel like, oh, what needs to be removed? Because sometimes there's some layers of things that just make a design look too cluttered and busy, and you don't really see it. Because I really loved the feel of these just simple little stars here in these little diamonds, and then outset by all this pretty like kind of vine work. So pretty. So that's going to release. This is on our white traditional ground cloth, 26 count. And so it's got a really great folk feel because the texture of that white, everybody who works on the white traditional ground cloth, like, I feel like almost everybody who works on it emails me, is like, I love this fabric. And it's got just a really, really lovely feel to it. It's a little less, the white for some reason is just a smidge less plushy, shall we say, than the natural color. So it's got a slightly different feel to it, but I love it. So anyways, Florina, that's going to be a great little kit. Again, you could use it as a table mat. You could also like sew it like as a cushion cover. That would be cute too. It would also be a really cute little wall hanging, like in a child's room or just in a hallway or something would be really cute. So Florina, that's coming soon. Now, let's see. Oh, one more release that's going to be coming soon. This is a new table runner design called Rhodora. Rhodora means rose, also related to rhododendrons. There's a lot of rhododendrons here in Oregon, and they're these like native rhododendrons, the wild rhododendrons that grow in the mountains. And so we've always seen them, like I've grown up seeing them hiking and in the woods and things like that. So I was thinking about that with this design. So this design was actually inspired by an all over design. This little sort of like little design, this little element here was actually done as an all over design, a repeating half drop design. And I saw it in an old vintage needlework booklet, but I was like, I just feel like that design isn't all that it could be. And it was weird because it was directional. Like it was kind of an odd design because it was like, well, which way do you have it? Like there was clearly an up and down, and I didn't find that very attractive. So I got rid of all the half drops, played around with the motif, flipped it, and then suddenly I was like, oh wait, it looks like a really cool diamond. And so I developed it into this, and I've long wanted to do a simpler table runner design Something that would still be a table runner, but be a little faster to stitch, maybe a little smaller, great for a bookcase or a small area, that kind of a thing. And so we did Rhodora. And actually, Maria Armstrong, I feel like we're calling her sample stitching Wonder Woman right now. She is so fast. And she did this one for me, and it just came back a few weeks ago. So very excited about that. That's going to release probably around June. So I'll feature it again in FlossTubes, but at least you get kind of the sneak peek. So that design's going to be coming. Very traditional color palette. This is straight up traditional Greek color palette with the 469 avocado green, the 3012 khaki medium, I think is what they call it, although it looks like a soft green. And then the 816 garnet and the 832 golden olive. So very classic. This has very similar colors to the Bit Kit Floret border, which has been extremely popular. So I wanted to do something that felt like that. This one, I really am envisioning this. You could have this, I love this colorway because you could put it out at in springtime. It's very springy feeling, but you could also use it at Christmas. So very cool. Very kind of versatile, multi-purpose. So that's Rhodora. Okay, now let's wrap up by talking about kind of what I'm working on creatively right now and where I'm going with my stitching. And the first thing is, it doesn't look like much yet, but I'll at least show it to you, is my first attempt at lace work. So this is my lace piece. I'm going to hold it up right there. Now what this is this is a type of embroidery that is done in Greece. It's a very specific style. It is cross stitch on needlepoint canvas, done with metallic threads, a single strand of metallic threads, and then you add beads, and there are different kinds of beads. This one will actually have bugle beads. And then after that's all done, it's finished with, oh, I should have grabbed the new trims. Okay, hang on here. Maybe I will. I'm going to take a second and hobble on over. But then the canvas is trimmed and hemmed very simply, no drawn thread hem. And then the edges are finished with either metallic trims or like pre-made metallic trims or needle lace. And I'm just now learning the technique. And honestly, the first thing I had trouble with was just hooping it because the needlepoint canvas won't fit in my Q-snap. It slides out. So I did find out from Gary Parr of Fiber Talk that there is a much more complex way that you can frame up or hoop up needlepoint canvas. But I wanted something really quick and easy because I was envisioning these as small kits to begin with because there's just a lot more supplies involved. So I'm thinking a smaller kit to begin with. And so actually, I just went back to using a plain old beechwood hoop. And so far, it's working beautifully. It's a little bit, you can't keep it super duper taut, but you don't really need to keep the needlepoint canvas super taut. So you start by embroidering all of the cross stitches, and then tomorrow morning I've got my virtual embroidery lesson with my Greek embroidery teacher in Athens, and she's gonna like basically walk me through sewing on the beads. And I think that's gonna be super cool because right now it doesn't look like much, but once you add those super cool metallic bugle beads, oh, these pieces just look amazing. And I just wanted to kind of learn it so that I could sort of explore, and I've even got the idea of maybe like trying it on different fabrics, not always the needlepoint canvas, but I kind of want to see how they look. I have purchased a couple of these for my own home over the years when I've been in Athens, and they're still some of my very favorite embroidery pieces to display because they are so sparkly. They're just sparkly and beautiful and different, and they're all geometric. So they all feature like a geometric design because the beads have to like go into those little spaces amongst the geometric. So they're kind of cool because they're very meditative in their stitching quality. So I'll keep featuring this in every FlossTube as I like learn this technique. So that's what I've been working on. And one of the hardest things was for me to figure out how to chart it. And then I got into the charting and I really felt so stupid. I was like, oh, wait, this isn't that hard to chart. So let me show you the chart. Because basically what you do is you chart all of the metallic threads in black, and then you can just put where the beads go in hot pink. And I was like sitting there going, okay, I've put off charting this for like 3 months because I was scared of the charting. And then I got in and was like, oh, this isn't difficult. Because the metallic threads, and again, I'm looking to see if I have my tote with all the things. I don't. The metallic threads from Greece come in about 8 different metallic colors, several shades of gold, silver, copper, these different colors. And so I'm in the process of figuring out which of those colors we're going to feature for like making kits up and stuff like that. It's kind of exciting. I don't think the latte kits are really going to be ready until fall, because it's going to take me that long to kind of like figure out all the sourcing and the beads and things like that. But it's kind of fun. You can watch along, and I'll be posting photos on Instagram as I like learn this technique. And then I'll be working on learning the needle lace with Aditi, with my embroidery teacher, when I'm in Greece this September. For those of you who hadn't heard, I'm going to Greece for 5 weeks to study folk embroidery. Woo! Very excited. It's part of why I'm so motivated to be doing everything my doctor says to heal my foot, because I have to be able to walk when I'm in Greece. So that's what I'm going to be doing, as I'll be in Greece, and one of the main things I'm going to be working on there is needle lace, learning how to work with the cordings and the metallic threads to be able to do latte. So I'm kind of excited about that. Okay, last but certainly not least is for those of you who've been following me for the last couple of years, it's probably become very apparent that I'm a very busy, active person. I really hate sitting still. It's actually part of why I stitch, because I am almost incapable of sitting still. I just have to be moving all the time. And so stitching's great because it kind of really organizes me that way. And that's why I stitch so much, is because it's like, it gives me a way to like sit and rest without feeling like I'm going crazy. So when I broke my foot and my doctor was like, you have to be entirely off of it, I was like, you gotta be kidding me. Like, there's got to be another way. He's like, nope, there's not another way. You really are not gonna heal unless you're completely off this foot. And so to be perfectly honest, I came home in tears from the doctor's office, because I was like, I can't do this. Like, I cannot do this. And I literally thought to myself, okay, what would happen if I just keep walking on it? Like, how bad is like a permanently broken foot? My husband's like, it's really bad. You really need to take this seriously. So my husband, who's really lovely and very understanding, was like, you have to take this seriously. And I'm like, okay, I have to take this seriously. But like, what am I going to do with myself for the 4 to 6 weeks that I'm going to be literally barely able to leave the house? I can't go take a walk. I can't go anywhere. I can't do anything. And I was like, I have to have like a big project, because I'm going to lose my mind if I don't have something to like focus on during this period. And so for the last year, about year and a half, I've been really toying with the idea of writing a book on folk embroidery, and kind of putting everything I've learned about folk embroidery in that book, along with a lot of, gorgeous charts and finishing information, kind of a one-stop shopping. Do you guys even remember that? I grew up in Portland, Oregon, and we had this grocery store chain called Fred Meyer's, and that was their tagline, one-stop shopping. So anyways, I was envisioning this book as being a one-stop shopping for people interested in folk embroidery. I'd explain about the traditional colors, and I'd do all this stuff. Well, as soon as I realized I was going to be having hours and hours every day where I had to be off my foot, couldn't be in the workshop, couldn't be doing anything, I was like, okay, I'm going to like just take a stab at the book. So it was the strangest experience, because within an afternoon, I had the entire book outline like ready to go. And I'm like, oh, okay. Like, I've got all the information. I'm ready to do this. I was like, okay, but pulling all the charts is going to be hard. I started charting, and it was like, all I did every day was chart for probably 6 to 8 hours a day. I'd get done, whatever work I had to do, like admin work and things like that, and working with Pamela and stuff like that. And then I was just like, fine, I'm just going to amuse myself by charting and writing all afternoon and into the evening, because like, I can't even cook. It's hard. If you're on crutches, it's hard to even like stand at the stove and stir something. So anyways, I was like, okay, I have all this time now. And so I started writing, and I am really excited. I am on the home stretch of having the book. The book text is mostly completed. I'll need to go through a couple of editing rounds, but the book text is mostly completed, and I have all of the charts completed, and I actually have sample pieces already coming back to me from some of our wonderful sample stitchers. So I thought I would share some of those with you. So the book is going to be laid out as both sort of a reference guide and inspiration book for folk embroidery. So there'll be a chapter basically explaining folk embroidery in general, the history, that kind of a thing. Then the second chapter is on the supplies and tools. Every craft book has that. You need this, and you need needles, and you need all the things. And it goes over and explains all the different fabrics, the kind of flosses you can use, where you can adapt and change, that sort of a thing. Then the third chapter is what I'm calling the Essential Projects chapter. And I've taken all of the folk embroidery designs and I've basically broken them up into 6 categories just to be able to make it helpful to like design and adapt and stitch your own folk embroidery pieces. So those are all over designs, perimeter border designs, centered band designs. That's like my Baltic scroll cushion where you have like a big border and you just do a central band of it on something, either a table runner or a pillow. Double-ended motifs. That's like a double-ended motif is like the brand new Peloponnesian Poppies. This is a classic double-ended motif because you've got the motif double-ended. These usually actually originate in bed valance curtains or skirts and folk costume designs where you have a large border that then gets turned into double-ended. And then single motif. This is a classic single motif where it's one motif, but it's repeated several times across the cloth. What am I forgetting? That's all over, perimeter border, centered band. Small borders. Then I have a whole little section on small borders because those factor into so much folk embroidery. And small borders are things like the little outer borders that we use on folk embroidery. Those are seen in folk costumes, that sort of a thing. And I felt like they really deserved a little category of their own because you can use those in lots of amazing ways too. So chapter 3 basically explains each of those categories and talks about it and what you can make with it. And then for each category, there is an essential project. So for example, in the all over design, the very first project is this. We're calling this Brindisi Diamonds, and it's a little table mat, which is like really fabulous. I haven't finished it yet because I need it for the photos. So this will be like the example, and the whole pattern for this will be in the book and explain how to do it and photos and all the things. And then for example, this one is just gorgeous. This is an example of a centered band design. Cindy Russell stitched this for us in like 2 hot minutes. She's so fast. And this is a classic centered band design, which I will then turn into a table runner, but it could also be done as a cushion cover too. And then I'm currently stitching a single motif that will be turned into a cushion. It's not quite done, but I'm getting close. This is a design from Chios. It actually comes from a folk costume of Chios. And this is showing basically, this is made up of little motifs, but showing it as kind of a single motif that you can use for a cushion cover. And then I'm still working on the other projects, designing the other projects. So that'll be chapter 3. Then chapter 4 will be on how to adapt folk embroidery designs for your own project. So I've got the math and all the layouts and what you can make and suggestions, and I show like all the different things that you can do for table mats, table runners, cushion covers, wall hangings, all the things. I can't remember what else. There's other things in there. Then that actually, the book will have 2 appendices. Actually, it's got more appendices, but 2 of them are design worksheets. And one is a simplified design worksheet to help you take a folk embroidery design and make it into what you want to make and help you figure out how much fabric you need. And then the second one is a complex design worksheet where it gets into the nitty-gritty of all the math. So for those of you who don't mind a little bit of math, it'll walk you step by step through basically how to look at the motif repeat in the design and create whatever it is you want to create. Every chart in the book actually has the motif repeat actually encircled in a black box so that it's very easy to see the motif repeat and to be able to use that to make whatever you want. Chapter 5 is the finishing chapter, and basically those are going to be basically written down instructions that I've used from a lot of my how-to videos. It'll be drawn thread hemming, lining and embroidery, making cushions, both just a classic cushion as well as an inset mitered border cushion. Like basically how do you calculate and add extra fabric? Like what if you just have a little bit of embroidery and you want to make a pillow out of it? Boom, here's how you do that. Here's how you do a little bit of math. That one's not a lot of math, so don't worry. If you're not mathy, don't worry, I've got it all laid out. And then, so that chapter basically shows you all the finishing, how to make a drawstring bag, how to make a wall hanging, and then how to make bandings. Like basically how to sew, basically take a little bit of embroidery and turn it into a banding that you can sew into a garment or a tote bag or a curtain or something like that. And then the final chapter is actually just the designs. And I'm up to over 200 charts, which I'm pretty excited about. There are there'll be charts for basically every kind of category. So there'll be perimeter border charts where it'll show the close-up corner and then like a full size, but also marked with repeats so that if you want to make it larger or longer, you can. It'll have centered band. I think I have 14 centered band designs, which I'm pretty excited about because those babies are big. And then I have 10 pages of medium-sized borders where there's like 4 or 5 borders on each page. And then I have, I think, 9 pages of smaller borders. And on those, there's like usually 6 or 7 on a page. So pretty excited about that. The book proposal is almost finished. I have to take a few how-to photos to show how we're going to do that. The how-to sections are going to be a combination of written instructions, sketches, showing you certain things, and then step-by-step photographs. So I am pretty excited about this. And I'm just now, as soon as I have the book proposal finished this next week, then it will be shopped out to various craft publishers. There's about 6 that are on my list that we're shopping it out to. I've actually already shopped it out to Penguin Random House, but I don't think I'm going to hear back from them. So, but it's kind of exciting because when I went to do the competitive market analysis, which I guess you have to do as part of a book proposal, I mean, I'm learning so much in this whole process. The competitive market analysis is where you look and see what other books have been published in your industry or the topic that you're looking on. And you know, I thought certainly there was going to be other books on folk embroidery, and there are a lot of books with there's like Dover books with like charts in them and things like that, but there's not really a comprehensive book on like how to use folk embroidery like in your home. And that's the whole focus of this book, is basically how do you make your embroidery useful? How do you make it something you can see as you walk around your house every day? How can you curl up at night with that beautiful cushion cover you made? Or admire that table runner, when you sit down to breakfast. So that for me is, I feel like, the niche that I want this book to fill, is to help people basically free your embroidery from frames. Not that framing's bad, but I just feel like there's so many more ways that we can use embroidery. So that is coming along very, very well. And I have to say, I'm really glad I decided to do it because, now that I'm at week 4 on crutches, I'm really, really this last week was my dark night of the soul in terms of being immobile. And I had a few teary days, to be perfectly honest. Like, I can't take it anymore. I can't walk. I mean, it's spring out there and I can't go enjoy it. But I'm really feeling like this season of my life was given to me for just so many ways. And I'm really trying to mine all the lessons that I can learn from this season of life, because that's really all we can do when things like this are handed to us. I mean, there is a part of me, true confessions, there's a part of me that just really wanted to just stay in bed and not get out of bed for 6 weeks and just be like, whatever, and totally have this self-pity party. And I'm really being honest here. I've literally fought that every couple of days. About every 48 hours, I have to just fight the self-pity. But I feel like just staying focused on something like folk embroidery has given me this focus and this area that I can pour the energy in that I can't release physically. So it's been really good. And so I feel like, yet again, I found this amazing opportunity in folk embroidery. So anyways, there's my little spiel. But I think that's it. We've wrapped up everything. We've seen everything. Keep watching on Instagram for progress pics on different things on the book. I'll be taking photos and sharing those as I'm doing that. And for those of you who I bet are wondering, will the things in the book be available as kits? I am hoping so. That is number 1 on my contract negotiating list, is that every essential project, every design that's in the book, I retain the right to release it as a kit because of the unique, fabrics, that it's hard to get these fabrics. So I'm hoping, I'm feeling positive about that'll happen. But that's definitely kind of a deal breaker for me. If a publisher basically will not allow me to release these as individual designs as kits, then I'm walking. So we've got that there. So thank you for joining me today. And thank you to everyone who has sent me such nice comments while I've been laid up with my foot. The comments on Instagram, the emails you've been sending, those have really gotten me through. I feel like I have been the recipient of all sorts of people I barely know, their kindness and their generosity. And I am feeling very humbled by that. And it's been a great reminder for me just how one positive comment can really turn around another person's day. So I want to thank everyone who sent me those comments, because they've really just kept me going during this difficult period. So I want to thank you for being here. Thank you for supporting Avlea, and happy stitching. See you next month.